Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the underworld. The Star Wars underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
What's up, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Star Wars Underworld podcast. We are your source for the latest breaking Star Wars news and discussion each and every week. And this week on the show, we've got our first batch of panels from Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2022 being revealed. So we're going to be talking about that. Also, the reviews are in for Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. We're going to be talking about how the fandom is reacting to the first Lego Star Wars game in forever. And we're going to be celebrating 12 years of the Star Wars Underworld. That's right. As of our recording, we are 3 days away from the 12th anniversary of when Ben hit create Facebook page for the Star Wars Underworld. So we're going to be talking about all that and so much more on the show. My name is Chris, and joining me is my good friend, Mr. Dominic Jones.
Yes, hello, Chris. Hello, Ben. Hello, everybody. Yeah, an exciting week. I still have not played Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga because I still haven't gotten around to getting that game console. That's the word. I said I would. But maybe, I don't know. I'm feeling like I should. I've seen a little bit of gameplay in the last 20 minutes, and I'm feeling excited about it. But really, I got to be honest. I know everybody's focused on Lego Star Wars, but I'm a little distracted this week because today in certain cities and tomorrow around the rest of the world is opening day for Major League Baseball. And I'm feeling very excited about this year. I'm feeling very excited for the new Blue Jays season. And this season for the Blue Jays actually has an unofficial sort of subtitle that Star Wars fans have been given it. And that is The Book of Boba Fett. Boba Fett, of course, being the star second baseman on the team. And I've actually got a t-shirt here I want to share with you guys, everybody who's watching on the live stream. Can one of you guys make me the solo layout here just for a second? We'll get it back to everybody else. Nope. There it is. There it is. And then I'm going to share this. I'm going to kind of stand up so you can actually see this. There it is. I should undo the fun button there. The
Nice.
Of Boba Fett.
That's amazing.
Right? The logo and everything. And my favorite little Easter egg is right in the middle of the Boba Fett armor. It's a little maple leaf to honor the Toronto Blue Jays in this actually licensed t-shirt, if you can believe it. I kind of was shocked to find out. But shout out to my buddy Fernando who tweeted me this link so that I could get this sweet Book of Boba Fett shirt, because as he said, I had to have it. So looking forward to baseball, looking forward to Lego Star Wars, looking forward to taking a little trip down memory lane later on in the show. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a great show.
It is. I have you on my second screen for those of you watching, because there's something we're going to do with the first screen that I usually use. And the hilarious effect of that is inside our little two-dimensional universe that is YouTube. Now I'm actually looking at you when I look at you.
There you go. Yeah.
It's instead of looking at my screen when I look at you, I'm looking off to the side. And on YouTube, it actually does look like I'm looking at you. Like
it looks like we're looking at each other, and Ben is just hovering below us. So Ben, look straight up.
Ben's Hello,
there you go. We're having a conversation.
This is hilarious. I kind of like this. I want to keep it like this. This is funny. And then I can actually look at the camera, because I very rarely look into the camera when doing the show. I have to force myself to do it because I want to look at you guys when you're talking.
I've given up on that. I just know the camera's close enough to where you guys are on my screen that it just more or less works.
That's hilarious. So of course, yes, way down there, it's the founder of the Star Wars Underworld, Mr. Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, guys? Can you hear me for me down here? Yes, I am also among the unlucky who has not yet played Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. But I'm caught between a rock and a hard place because, like, obviously I want to play the game, and I've promised myself that I will play the game in the near future. But also, there's so much good gameplay out there. Something I just watched that really, I'm like, I want to see more of this because I do. I for some weird reason, I enjoy watching other people play video games. So it's been a lot of fun seeing everyone's reactions to that game, whatever. And we're gonna have some reactions tonight. And 12 years of this. I mean, not this specifically, not this thing. We have been doing 12 years of YouTube, or even 12 years of podcasting per se, but 12 years of this thing called the Star Wars Underworld. And it's been quite the wild ride. And it's about to get even wilder.
Heck yes. Dominic, I thought you were going to respond to that.
I agree. I concur.
All I know is I stopped talking, so one of you should start.
It's a thing that with video where it's like with audio, when there's silence, you feel it. But with video, there's so much else going on.
We can just sit here, stare at the screen and be like,
yeah, someone could look like they're about to say something. Someone could be responding non-verbally to something. So... and Dominic keeps raising his finger and throwing me off for those of you that are just listening. So anyway, that is a great segue to our first plug, which is we're on YouTube for those of you that just listen to the show. If you ever have time to watch the show, search for the Star Wars Underworld on YouTube. We're up there, right up with all that test footage from Star Wars Underworld show when you search for Star Wars Underworld. And make sure you subscribe. Punch that subscribe button, Chewy, as we like to say. And you can also super chat with us on YouTube. We try to get as many of your comments on the screen as possible while we're talking, but a lot of times we can't stop a conversation to read things. So we figured out a way to prioritize that, which is if you want to support us financially with super chats, it will guarantee that we will read your comment out on the stream. So please super chat with us, and huge thanks to everybody that supports us every week doing that. It's greatly appreciated. It's helping us a lot with our plans for Star Wars Celebration and any other expenses that we have here at the Star Wars Underworld. And another way that you can support us is by going to patreon.com/theswu. And we have some interesting content over there this week that we're about to actually, it's up there now. We had all of our reactions to me playing the first 15 minutes of Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. So we just did that. We just recorded that with some of our Patreon audience watching before the live stream, and it was really, really fun. So that's where you can get the exclusive full cut of our reactions to seeing that played through the first time. And my reaction to playing it, I was the one that was actually playing it. So go to patreon.com/theswu. Any pledge level will get you to link to that. And then we also have some other cool stuff over there, like a lot of merch and stuff for you guys to check out as well. So you can be repping Star Wars Underworld podcast at Star Wars Celebration. And then finally, cultureslate.com/store is the other place where you can go to get merch for all of the Culture Slate podcasts, including Star Wars Culture and Ion Canon, which you can definitely check out. I hastily, when trying to add in the banners for this week, deleted half of our promo banners. So I don't have the usual follow all the other podcasts on the network banner, but I will say that with my voice. Definitely subscribe to Star Wars Culture and subscribe to Ion Canon and subscribe to Chatter Squadron. They're all amazing channels and amazing podcasts and all very good friends of ours. So definitely check them out. And if you want to send us feedback that is in long form, that's too long for a comment, swunderworld@gmail.com is where you can send that.
All right. Before we dive into the news, I just have to issue a quick correction off the top. I accidentally said Boba Fett was the second baseman. I of course meant shortstop. Shortstop. That's what he is. All-star shortstop.
That's a common back and forth. A lot of people of the two it's like fielders sometimes will switch from like
Yeah.
left field to right field. Like shortstop and second baseman will go back and forth.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. And we're starting this week. We'll get to Lego Star Wars. So we'll get to more of that in a little bit. But we're going to start this week with Star Wars Celebration coming up in just over a month and a half over there in Anaheim. And I think we've been saying, for the last couple of weeks that it's kind of all steam ahead. It's go for Celebration, and that's really especially true this week because we've got the big panels, or at least 3 of the big panels, were all announced in the last couple of days. This is where we'll be getting some looks ahead at what's to come from Star Wars. So the big one, the one that will actually kick off the convention, is taking place on Thursday. This comes from StarWars.com. The headline is "Join Lucasfilm's filmmakers and special guests for a look at what's coming soon to a galaxy near you." And they say Star Wars Celebration returns in May, launching with a must-see showcase that will kick the weekend's festivities into hyperdrive. On Thursday, May 26th, Lucasfilm's current crop of live-action filmmakers will be joined by special guests to discuss the many Star Wars adventures coming soon, including Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, and The Mandalorian. So, I think it's safe to say Andor trailer. I think that seems like a safe bet.
Yeah.
Mandalorian sizzle reel. I'm going to say maybe a behind the scenes look, maybe a little quick teaser at season 3. We'll save Obi-Wan Kenobi for a second. I think maybe a quick look at The Acolyte. Quick look at Ahsoka.
Yes, please.
Either a quick look or an announcement of Grammar Rodeo. Maybe a little something for Lando. Maybe a little something for Rogue Squadron. I think that's about it.
And something we haven't heard of yet.
Yeah, well this is the thing, right? Like I spent far too long this past week going over this little announcement, like with a fine-tooth comb, trying to figure out how excited should we get for this event. Is it like very, very excited, very, very, very excited? And I'm kind of leaning somewhere between very, very, and very, very, very excited because they promise in this announcement, they promise Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, and The Mandalorian. So that alone is huge. If you just told me that there's going to be a panel that teases those three shows, that's huge. But it's this word that really, I think, elevates it, and it's the word including, which suggests there's more. So I kind of think that those will be the big 3. Those will be the ones that will get the main headlines, get the main hype. But there's probably some other thing. There's probably going to be some little other things that get the fans, get the people who are at Celebration really, really excited, and the people that are following along at home really, really excited for what's to come. And I said we put Obi-Wan Kenobi aside for a second. I mean, they got to end this panel with the first episode, right? There's no point in doing another trailer on May 26th.
Mm-hmm.
The episode is coming out later that day. There's no point in doing another trailer. You got to show
final trailer, even though you're going to see it. There's a bunch of reveals of stuff you're going to see tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's going to be big stuff. Joel in the chat says prepare for the worst and hope for the best. This is a situation where I think you can just prepare for the really good. Because like I said, at the very least, it's Kenobi, Andor, and Mando.
But cynically, I will say that, like, I think they listed a lot of things in this little announcement. And I think it's true that, like, we're probably not going to get much from Ahsoka, or, some of these may not even get mentioned. They'll might get mentioned, but they won't get, like, full spreads. They won't get, like, a talk about them a ton or even new reveals about them. But I think there'll be, like, 3 or 4 of them where we'll get, like, some really interesting stuff, and I think Obi-Wan Kenobi will probably be the biggest one, because Lucasfilm is Lucasfilm. They're not going to give away everything, but they will. I mean, it's Celebration. They got to give us something. And now that I've said that out loud, I'm like, oh God, what have I done?
But there hasn't been a celebration where they haven't given us at least something from somewhere. Like, you know,
this is what you hold it out for. This is what you hold out the big announcements for celebration, for being on stage and saying, hey, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, I think about the comparative levels of hype for this versus, say, Disney Plus Day. And people really bought into the hype with Disney Plus Day. And a lot of that was based on rumors and innuendo and suggestions and all that stuff. None of it was based on anything in reality. This is based in reality. You know, 2 weeks before Disney Plus Day, we came on the show and we said, you know what? The only things we should expect are what they're telling us to expect, which is a Boba Fett documentary. And then we bought into the hype about the potential for all these other trailers, and everybody wound up being a little bit disappointed. This time they're telling us, be ready for at least 3 things, almost certainly more.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge. This is honestly, this is the panel I was hoping for. I think I said this a couple of weeks back. Like, this is what I wanted, like some kind of showcase event where they just go through everything that's coming up.
It's very much like what they'll do at the D23.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think it's one of the reasons why we've had so few announcements about some of this stuff in the last year. I think they've been holding out for this because originally this was going to be last August. And then, so I think that even in 2021, I think they were holding back some stuff, waiting for August. And then it got delayed from August to May. And now they've waited the whole winter and part of the spring and barely put anything out too. And I think that's one of the reasons why Disney Plus Day was so disappointing for people, because I think if Star Wars Celebration wasn't coming up, I think they would have made more to do out of that for Star Wars. But knowing that, you know, most of the shows that we'd be seeing would be coming out after Star Wars Celebration, and now that's certain with Kenobi being pushed back a few days, they pretty much know, like, okay, this is the event to have the best energy to put this stuff out, because not only do you have the whole internet hyped for it, but you have thousands of people hyped for it in person. So you can use that footage and that Twitter storm that happens from people being like, I was just in a room where they just said this. Like, it's the best way to announce it for sure.
Yeah.
As much as I want, like, you know, bring out the cast for Andor, bring out the cast for Obi-Wan Kenobi, I also want, like, I want Kathleen Kennedy to have like her Kevin Feige moment, to like just come out and then like they show a giant logo behind her and she talks about it, and then it fades away, and then it puts in this giant timeline of all the upcoming projects, Andor, Acolyte, all this kind of stuff, and just, you know, just lay it all out for us. Just show us everything that's coming. And hopefully 90% of it will get made and produced, and we'll see it someday.
Well, the nice thing about this, as opposed to, say, the Disney Investors Conference, is that there's so much stuff that's in production now, or in post-production, either in production or post-production. And that stuff always comes out in some form or another. It may hit a few more snags along the way, but it you know, unless they announce something new, or they, you know, go all in with, you know, one of the shows that hasn't started filming yet, I think will, at the very least, the big moments from this panel won't be at risk of being forgotten because of the cancellation of a project or something. But it's huge. The only thing that worries me, and it's the same thing that worries me with every celebration, is how big is this auditorium that they're going to be doing this in, and how can we cram as many people in there while also being COVID safe and fire safe?
The answer is not big enough.
Yeah.
Right, because there's 2 things that I've seen them do at Anaheim Convention Center. Like, one thing that I've seen them do is use the arena, which has the capacity of 7,000 people. There's like a basketball arena that's attached to the convention center. Now, the other thing that I've seen them do is the show floor is absolutely huge, and they might not use all of that for exhibitors. We actually know from the fact that we're not going to be exhibiting there, that not as many people are exhibiting there as have in previous years. They're limiting it to just certain specific ones. So they might have some of that long stretch on the first floor available to just throw some seats in there. I know that's what D23, for example, they have their main stage on what would be the show floor because they don't use all of it.
And it's very effective. I wonder which one has more seats. I suspect it's what they do at D23 because I think that's the reason why you do that. Yeah. Because I think about 2015, right? At 2015 we had Anaheim Celebration and Anaheim D23, and it's for Celebration for the episode 7 panel that was in the arena, but then at D23 all of the movie stuff was in this sort of makeshift auditorium on the show floor, which, by the way, when you're sitting in those seats, you never think you're on the show floor. It doesn't feel like you're on the show floor. You feel like you're in a separate arena. And so I have to think that Disney looked at the success they had at Celebration that year and said, that was good in the arena, but we can probably do it better if we do these sort of makeshift thing on the floor. So I kind of hope that's the case. Yeah.
The last thing I'll say about that is the pizza slice, Hall H, that fits 6,000 people. And what seems like a much smaller area than what the arena takes up because you don't have people all spread out in the arena on different like levels and such. So if they can fit 6,000 in the pizza slice in just one hall of on the end of San Diego, then if they use like 2 or 3 sections out of Anaheim, probably well over 6,000 people can get jammed into there. But this is an interesting thing from Joel. He sent us a super chat.
Yeah, we're going to get to the super chat in just a moment. I just threw it up there because the little countdown thing was freaking me out.
I was about to say, I had a segue right into that for what I was saying.
I have another point I want to make, which is one I said, being COVID safe. Then I remembered that the rules involve masking and vaccination and all that stuff. So we should be all right just in general. But I think the thing that they should do is that they should get a whole bunch of buses and take people from the convention center just, down the street to Angel Stadium there and just set up a massive stage in center field with a giant screen and just fill out all of those seats. The only problem with that is that later in that day, the Angels are scheduled to play the Blue Jays of all teams, so there might be a quick turnaround for the grounds crew. But I think they could go that way. They could go that way.
The other option too, and we're talking about this like it's serious and it could happen.
It won't.
Is the other thing is that the Ducks also have a stadium. I think it's called the Honda Center, if I remember correctly, in that area. And I think that at least the regular season for hockey is over by then, I think.
Yeah, and the Ducks aren't making the playoffs.
Yeah. So the Honda Center, unless they're having a concert or something in there, might be available.
Yeah, that's 20,000 seats, and then you put some on on where the ice would be. Yeah.
Or just you do it Woodstock style. Rent a pasture somewhere, just bust people out there, and it can hold like 1 million people. Like everybody can get in.
Yeah, I think we've solved this. This. But we should get to the super chat here. Chris, I know you have something to say about it.
Oh, I was just going to just do this smooth segue where I was going to say the last thing I said about this is this and this and this. No, and here's a really interesting idea is should we be worried about anything not brought up in this panel? Because Joel's super chat is, I'll say this, if Rogue Squadron does not get an update, then I will be cynical of a 2023 release. If it does, then I'll have more hope. Should we be worried about anything they don't talk about in this panel?
I think it depends, right? Like if they don't talk about Lando, I'm not going to be worried because I don't feel like they'll have anything really concrete to say about that for a while. If they don't talk about Rogue Squadron, then I'll join Joel in his cynicism. If they don't talk about the Acolyte, I might be a little bit, I wonder what's going on there. And for me, talk about it doesn't mean an announcement, just means someone says, hey, and we've got this happening too. Like as long as you acknowledge its existence, because looking back on Celebration 2017, one of the biggest red flags that we missed there about something bad that was coming down the pipe was they didn't talk about Solo at all.
Yeah.
They didn't mention it once.
Yeah.
And it was just a couple of weeks, couple of months later that Phil Lord and Chris Miller would leave the project. So yeah, if anything that doesn't get mentioned that's supposed to be like current, I might be worried. But I have a feeling. Rogue Squadron might be mentioned in there because, again, we go back to the wording of this. I've gone over this a million times. Mm-hmm. It's Lucasfilm's current crop of live action filmmakers, not Lucasfilm's current crop of live action Disney Plus series.
And there's something that's actually really telling, because it's like, how many films are there? How many filmmakers are there? Like, we really only have gotten good updates about 2, right? I mean, it's Patty Jenkins and Taika Waititi. Mm-hmm. I don't really know any other filmmakers who we've heard like, hey, this is a person, they're doing things.
You know what the closer for the panel should be? After they show the Obi-Wan episode, like afterwards, they have Kathleen Kennedy come back on stage. She's like, oh, one more thing. Got somebody else here. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Rian Johnson. And he comes out there and he's like, first episode of my trilogy, 2026, and then just leaves. Just drops the mic and leaves.
Honestly, I think a good way to like pace the panel would be to open with the movie news. Tell people, hey, Star Wars movies have been away for a while, but they're coming back. Rogue Squadron, and then this is coming. Taika Waititi's film's coming. Rian Johnson's coming. And then you go back to, okay, yeah, Mandalorian Season 3, we're going to have a panel about that later in the week, and then go over everything, and then lead up to Obi-Wan. Like, that's how you do a panel. All right? Listen to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, let's do it.
Exactly. But that's just one of the panels, just one that they announced this week. Also announced this week, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni to talk The Mandalorian at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2022. Also from StarWars.com, the makers of The Mandalorian are coming to Star Wars Celebration Anaheim 2022. StarWars.com is excited to announce that The Mandalorian creator Jon Favreau and executive producer Dave Filoni will make their first Celebration appearance since the premiere of the Disney Plus series. The panel, called Mando Plus, a conversation with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, will take place Saturday, May 28th, and feature the duo along with special guests for a look back and a look ahead at what's to come. Mando Plus, is that them just being cute with the Disney Plus name?
No.
Or is there more to it?
No. This is the Mandoverse, which I don't know where that word came from. It just appeared and it's a thing now.
Yeah.
There's
a double entendre here.
Yeah, just like you have the Marvel Netflix subgroup going on that's just kind of off on its own thing. You have the Mandoverse subgroup of Star Wars stories where you would expect, at the least we have 2 of them right now, Book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian, that are connected. Ahsoka quite obviously is going to be related to that as well, since she had her backdoor pilot into both of those other shows. And then whether or not, I don't know if Rangers will ever get out with a new
Cobb Vanth. It's the Cobb Vanth show.
I mean, if it happens, then that one's in there too, and then who knows, they might add some more to that as well. So yeah, no, I think this is to talk about what Favreau and Filoni are doing in multiple series, not just The Mandalorian in that era.
See, I think what this panel is going to be is more focused on what we've already seen. I think this is going to be a focus on seasons 1 and 2 of Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. I think this is going to be their chance to tell behind the scenes stories, to show behind the scenes pictures, to talk about here's how we make the Baby Yoda puppet work. Here's some other, things like that. I think that's more what this panel is about. I think there'll be, hints and teases, and maybe they'll hold something back from the Thursday panel for this panel. They'll hold something back. But I don't think this I don't think this is going to be the place where we get big news about the other shows. I think we'll get tidbits. I think we'll get interesting stuff. I think they'll save one thing for us to do at this panel, and maybe they'll talk about their process for creating this shared universe within the Star Wars universe. this Mando verse. I think that could be. I think that could be part of it. But I think this is more a look back. This is because as Ben, as you pointed out in previous shows, there hasn't been a Mandalorian panel since 2019. Yeah. They've never had a chance to talk about Baby Yoda on stage. And I think this panel might as well be called the Baby Yoda Hour with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. I think that's more what this one's going to be. I'd be happy to be wrong, as I so often say, and so often am. But just in reading the room with all this stuff, I think announcements Thursday, fun behind the scenes Saturday.
I'm surprised it's not called just Grogu Plus. I think it should also be the name of Disney Plus. You should be you're subscribed for Grogu. Oh, you get some Moon Knight and some Book of Boba Fett on the side, but like you came here for Grogu.
Grogu, can you talk to us a little bit about what's going on at this panel? Okay, not saying anything.
Shaking his head. Shaking his head.
He's his master is Dave Filoni, and he's learned a lot of things from him.
Learned a lot of yep.
Much,
Speaking of people who have learned a lot from Dave Filoni, they'll be doing a panel because we've got another huge panel announcement again from StarWars.com. Here's the headline: Fall in with Star Wars: The Bad Batch at Star Wars Celebration. A cavalry has arrived at Celebration on Sunday, May 29th. Join host Dave Collins as he invites Star Wars: The Bad Batch executive producers Brad Rao and Jen Corbett, who also serve as supervising director and head writer, respectively, story editor Matt Michnovitz, and actors D. Bradley Baker, The Bad Batch, and Michelle Ang, Omega, to discuss highlights from the first season of the acclaimed series, as well as some exciting hints for what's to come in season 2.
Ooh.
Bad Batch panel with Omega herself, Michelle Ang.
And was it someone on the show or a commenter last week? I think it was talking about, I'm worried about Bad Batch season 2, and I wasn't worried until I heard that person talking. I'm like, what if season 2 doesn't happen? What if it's been shelved? And like seeing this announcement was like, yes, it's actually happening. This is great, and finally getting to meet Michelle Yang in person. It's gonna be great.
Michelle Yang, yeah, and I think there's no mention of they do in the Thursday panel. They do say it's live action. That's their focus for the Thursday panel. So I don't think we'll hear anything about Bad Batch there. So this panel, as much as it might look back at season 1, we'll probably get a trailer for season 2, maybe a couple of clips. Hopefully a release date. I think that's the big one there. I think this is going to be another sort of can't miss panel for folks who love the Bad Batch. Yeah. I expect this one to feel like a Clone Wars panel in a lot of ways, just without the man in the hat. Although I suspect he'll make an appearance.
And here's the thing: I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, not to set unrealistic expectations here, but a lot of us thought that this show would be airing right around now. So, and maybe it could have, but because of the hype for Kenobi, they wanted to move it around a little bit, and you wonder if they have, they're probably definitely by the time that this panel is, they're going to have episode 1, I think, finished. So,
would hope so. Yeah,
I think that a screening of episode 1, the season 2 premiere of The Bad Batch, is definitely cards here. That'd
be a great ending for Celebration.
Yeah.
Because this is the last day. This is, you got to go out on a high note, and a sweet trailer, a release date announcement, and the premiere of the first episode. That's a pretty good closer. So we've got a big panel for Thursday, got a big panel for Saturday, big panel for Sunday. What's going on Friday? What's happening Friday?
Video games?
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that's going to be their moment. The video games are going to have their time in the sun on Friday. We'll get, and I hope they do basically the equivalent of the filmmakers panel, where it's not just a Jedi Fallen Order 2 panel. It's here's Jedi Fallen Order plus all the other games we're working on, and give everybody a chance to come out here and talk a little bit about what they're doing. So, yeah, and I'm also hoping that somewhere in the schedule is going to be a conversation with Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen. Just somewhere.
Yeah.
Find a spot for it. Find a spot for it, please. Also in Celebration news, we got some more guests that were announced this week. We got Katie Sackhoff, her as Bo-Katan, Carl Weathers, aka Grief Karga, Emily Swallow, her as the Armorer, D. Bradley Baker is all the clones, Michelle Ang is Omega, as somebody has written it in our show notes. And we got Dickie Beer, who is Boba Fett's stunt double, and Amy Allen, who played Aayla Secura in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. They'll all be on hand, and I hope that they do panels. I hope they do Q&As and panels. That's something that they don't do as much at Celebration as they used to.
Are they trying to tell us, because a lot of these people are in current stuff? I think Dickie Beer's the only one on that list that
and
isn't.
Amy Allen.
What I'm about to talk about is does this mean we're gonna get Aayla Secura in a Kenobi flashback?
Sure. Why not?
I mean, I'm talking about an underutilized character.
or as someone in the chat, like, when are we getting the Attack of the Clones panel, and why isn't Amy Allen on it?
It's the 20th. It's the 20th year anniversary of Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing that Friday could be. Like, I think Friday could be video games, and Friday could be that Hayden, Ewan, Amy Allen moment.
Yeah.
Just Amy Allen, just her as well. They're like, we couldn't get anybody else, so you're here.
She's in a good shot right on the Geonosis battle in the arena. There's like a good 2 seconds of her there. Like, that is
sure.
best shots of the whole movie.
Sure. I suspect, just going based on what they did last time in 2019, the Phantom Menace panel was on Monday, which was the last day. I suspect the Attack of the Clones 20th anniversary panel will be on Sunday, hopefully not opposite the Bad Batch panel, and I'll have some fun with that. But
Hannah, why do you have to? I've tried to forget that Natalie Portman exists so that I can't be disappointed when she's not at that panel, which is why I did not mention
We don't need that kind of talking here, okay?
Now
it's
she's
just
in the
not
chat
healthy.
talking about Natalie Portman, and now I have to go on my rant again about how dare they not have Natalie Portman at Star Wars Celebration. I
mean, I suspect if she wanted to go, there's nobody there saying no. You're not welcome here.
Natalie,
I suspect.
Please come to Star Wars Celebration. Thank you.
All right, so that's our celebration update. In a quick aside of somebody else who maybe we'd like to see at Celebration. I don't know why this is news to people, but it is. Daisy Ridley's back on social media. She's on Instagram at Daisy Ridley. Maybe she could show up and do a live stream from Celebration. Just go live. That's fun. She's posting fun things.
Freaking get Tim Morrison.
Yeah.
Do a Book of Boba Fett panel, and also get him on the Attack of the Clones panel. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing. If you can wheel a jacuzzi onto stage, I think he'll cop. Because I think he has to put up a lot while filming.
The Celebration Spa.
The Star Wars Celebration Spa.
All right, that's our Celebration and Star Wars actor social media update. Let's talk a little bit of Lego Star Wars. I think it's time. I think it's that time to talk a little bit about the game that came out this week, and it seems to me it's been met with near universal acclaim.
Really great ratings, so I think from all the official outlets, and I've heard nothing but great things from all the people that are playing it much now, which I just, for the record, I hate every single one of you.
It's nice to have something that was this anticipated be so well received when it actually comes out, because so often these things that are anticipated, especially when they're part of like a legacy legacy Star Wars sort of sub franchise, sometimes they can be disappointments. I'm looking at that first Battlefront game and all the hype around people wanting a new Battlefront game, and when that came out, it was a little bit of it fizzled a little bit. It fizzled.
This game's been anticipated for so long, like way longer than it should have, because it's been delayed like 5 times.
Took a long time.
So like the hype was real, and the fact that like a majority of people, like there's just people that were saying things like, "Oh, I wish they put character creator in there. I wish they had been online." Like, fair enough, but I think for the most part, for what I've seen, it's been really amazing, and it's been pleasing people to no end.
So, Chris, you're the only one of us that has actually played the game. It was, as you mentioned, you played it for about 20 minutes during our pre-show today. With Ben and I fulfilling our natural role as the peanut gallery. What'd you think? What did you think of the game? Of what you played so far?
Yeah. So, as an extra for people watching on video, I'm just gonna be going around the game and just doing random stuff while I'm talking. So check that out on YouTube. So there's not going to be any sound though, because I don't want to ruin the experience for anybody that's just listening to the show. But really, my initial reaction to it is how different it is than the most recent Lego Star Wars games. Like, for instance, the Force Awakens one. Like, the thing that is different is that one was very puzzle based. Like, there were all these puzzles that you had to do. You had to do all these things to get from level to level. I felt that the world felt very small. Like, there weren't really that many places that you could go at all. And you just had to go kind of from one room to another. And the game just really frustrated me. Like, I thought it was very closed and didn't like it. Pause for super chat.
Well, and this is another super chat that just fits in perfectly with what you're saying. Is you're saying you get the freedom to just go wherever you want.
Yeah.
Which for people who are listening right now, you're just wandering around Otagunga, the city. You're just wandering around right in is that an EOP or I can't remember.
That was Kadu.
Yes. that one there. And Joel with the super chat saying, I saw free roam on Exegol and it was amazing. Yeah, and that's I think that's one of the things that's really appealing about this game, and just in watching you play, has been really appealing. It's just the ability to just go anywhere in these iconic locations, without feeling the pressure to advance the story too much. Because let's be honest, we already know what the story is. We've seen the Phantom Menace, we've seen Attack of the Clones, we've seen Rise of Skywalker. We know what's going on. So this game just gives us a chance to wander through a more comedic version of each of those, which is fun.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I like the original games better, because I felt like you had a little bit more control over that. Over this one, it feels way more open world, and there's different characters. You can go up to them and talk to them. And I haven't gotten any side quests yet, but I have seen gameplay from years ago, because this game has been in development for so long, where there's these side quests that sometimes these characters will put you on. So it definitely feels a lot more immersive. It feels like you have more control over your destiny and what you're doing. And it kind of reminds me a lot of like Lego Star Wars meets Jedi Fallen Order, which is my favorite kind of new game that's come out since Disney has been in charge. I would say Lego, the Jedi Fallen Order is my favorite game. I like it better than the Battlefront games or Squadrons or any of the mobile games that have come out since then. So, it's great. It feels very much like an RPG. It feels like almost like an open world type RPG.
Yeah. And it's just gorgeous too. Like the game looks really good. That's something like, I went back and played a little bit of the original trilogy a couple of weeks ago because I was feeling the hype, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, yeah, this looks pretty good for its time. And then you look at this game, and it's like, it's not night and day, but you can tell that. Let's see, the original trilogy came out in 2007, 2006, somewhere in that range. You can tell a long time has passed. And this just, it looks, for lack of a better term, cinematic. It looks like you could do a Lego Star Wars movie in the same way that in this sort of setting, in the same way that there's been like a Lego Batman movie and that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I'm really excited to play through more of it. I'm going to, because StreamYard, which is the service that we use for podcasting, is not really meant for games. It's more meant for talk shows. We've noticed that it's a little laggy over there, so we're going to be using Twitch for this. So over at Culture Slate, we have a Twitch, twitch.com/Culture Slate, or just search for the Culture Slate channel on Twitch. And that is where, whenever I'm playing the game, I'm going to be doing it live because I want to share that experience with everybody watching. And I think it'll be helpful for anybody, too, that wants to experience the game but doesn't have one of the consoles yet that it's come out on, which I know is the case for both of you guys, which hopefully we can find a way to fix that very soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'll show up to heckle you. That's what I'm there for.
So definitely follow or subscribe or become a channel member or there's several different things that you can do over on Twitch. So go to the Culture Slate Twitch so you can do that so you don't miss any of that. My goal with this eventually is I want to open up a Discord channel where I can actually chat with people while playing the game. I think that would be really cool. Fun. It's not just me just talking or you just watching the game, but people that can actually call in and we can talk on Discord about just random stuff while I'm playing. I think that would be really fun. So definitely subscribe over there at the Culture Slate Twitch so we can do that. And I'll keep giving my updates on this show as well as I play through the game. We'll do maybe a weekly update of how I'm feeling each week as I get further and further into the game, because it's with nine different movies with all these different worlds to them, and with DLCs beyond that I don't even know when I'll get to. I think this is going to be an immersive game for a very, very long time. Yeah,
it's going to be fun, and there's a lot of gameplay to get through. There's a lot of game to go. So I think maybe we'll hit pause for the time being on our Lego Star Wars discussion. But as you said, it's going to be an ongoing thing across the Twitch streams and checking in here, and maybe we can get some more folks on. Maybe we can do a little bit of a roundtable in a couple of weeks to really talk about this game once everybody's had a chance to play it, because not everybody can play all of the game at once.
And it's very interesting to see this, because I've played this in the original version. I haven't even seen any gameplay from Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, which have never had Lego games before. So I'm very interested to see that gameplay and then play it for myself eventually.
Yeah. Ben, you and I, we got to get those Twitches or what are switches? That's what they are.
I got a Twitch already.
I'm just thinking about the other thing. All right, we'll hit pause on Lego Star Wars for the time being, and
I can't click off it, which is why I'm stuck in the game.
How do I? Oh, do you want me to get you out of this? Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. There you go. Okay, so you can pause the game.
There's worse places to be trapped, I suppose.
It's true. It's true. It's a good point. That's a good point. But what we're gonna do now? Is as has been mentioned, it's the 12th anniversary of the Star Wars Underworld on Sunday, on April 10th. So this is the last show before we hit the big 1-2.
This is our last show ever, guys. 12 years, got a good run. Let's go. Let's close it up shop.
Yeah. But what I thought would be interesting, would be fun, would be to take a trip down memory lane and go through what the top Star Wars news story was on April 10th of every year for the last 12 years.
It's like that way. It's like that memories thing on Facebook where it's like what
exactly
you posted every year ago. Yeah,
exactly. So
some of them are good, some of them are not so good.
I've gone back and looked through some of the things that have been going on or around April 10th for each of the years that Star Wars Underworld has been around. So we'll start in 2010, aka the year Ben decided, hey, I should click that create Facebook page button. I should do something new and exciting. And the top story on April 10th, and this for some of these older years, I had to rely on the Force.net archives, which are very extensive. It's terrific over there. But April 10th, 2010, the top story. This is the headline: Variety examines new Star Wars animated series. Whoa! And this is a Variety story giving some more details about a Star Wars show that was announced 5 days earlier on April 5th, 2010. And you might be wondering what show that is. What show that is. Is that something we ever saw? It's not. We're, of course, talking about Star Wars Detours! Just makes sense. So this is what they had to say. This is sort of the in-depth report that they had. This was point form on the Force.net because I don't think the original Variety article exists anymore. The show, which didn't have a name at the time, was an animated Star Wars sitcom, not sketch comedy. Matt Stenreich described the series as a character-driven story comedy that may include crossover appearances from Star Wars movie characters. No crossovers from the Clone Wars are planned at this point. The show will be no more than half an hour long. While Brendan Hay from The Daily Show has been tapped as the head writer, Lucasfilm is looking to hire up to 10 more writers. Animation will be done overseas, but not sure where yet, and possibly not in Singapore, which is where they did a lot of Clone Wars stuff. And for the doubters, Seth Green said, let us assure you, this isn't going to suck as much as you think it is. Star Wars Detours. That was the big thing that was going on back in 2010. The same day, Ben, that you were thinking was this what inspired you? Was this what inspired you to create this new Star Wars fan community? Was you're like, this animated comedy's coming out. I gotta be ready for it.
I don't remember thinking about Detours. For me, Detours feels like it came way later than that. I was so focused on Clone Wars. I think the first ever thing that I ever posted on our Facebook page, which was where the Underworld started, was an interview with Daniel Logan talking about Boba Fett coming back in the Clone Wars, which was the hot thing at that point. I think it was like Clone Wars was airing and like the Death Trap and those episodes were airing.
Ben, funny you should mention that because the other top story.
Oh boy.
On April 10th, 2010.
I jumped the gun on this.
No, it's perfect. A perfect lead-in because the other top story was that there was a new teaser for Boba's first appearance in the Clone Wars. And this is it for everybody who's watching live. You can see what it looks like. There's no sound because otherwise we'd get copyright striked. But it's Boba Fett as he appears on the Clone Wars, walking in with his with his father's helmet. Wow. And it says like father, like son, 4/23/10.
Wow!
It was just around the corner.
Big deal. Like that season. What was it? Season 2 finale.
Yeah. Boba
Fett, Bosk, all those. That was a huge deal. Back before we were accepted of the fact that Star Wars movies were never happening again. Clone Wars was the biggest thing, and this was a huge deal. And part of the reason the Clone Wars exists because it was what got me back into Star Wars. Not that I ever really left it, but my fandom after Revenge of the Sith was like, Star Wars is over, whatever. And they're like, Clone Wars is amazing. I could talk about this all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was what we would have been podcasting about had the podcast existed before you created the Star Wars Underworld. I don't know, but that's what the top story would have been. We would have been trying to make sense of the Star Wars Detours age and the premiere of Boba Fett on the Clone Wars. And as Joel says with the super chat, 2008 to 2012 were the wild years of Star Wars. They were a time. They were something else.
They were great though. Some of my favorite years.
This is the time that I'm the most nostalgic for. I talk about like the nostalgia of mall packaging. But you got to remember when I said that, it was in the year 2012.
Yeah, it was super relevant then.
It was in that 08 to 12 range when I was thinking about the past. Now, if I were to say that line again, I would say I'm nostalgic for that Clone Wars packaging of 08 through 12, because it was, without question, the release of the Clone Wars movie and the beginning of that show that like got me into Star Wars, like into Star Wars. Like it was always a part of my life. Like it was always, I watched the films repeatedly to the point where the DVDs had scratches and the VHSs were just white lines. I've been collecting the action figures since I was like 3 or 4 years old. Like, yeah, it's always been a part of my life, but it wasn't something that I really experienced with other people until the Clone Wars came out. It was when the Clone Wars came out that I started listening to podcasts about the Clone Wars and about Star Wars. And it was when the Clone Wars came out that I was checking Star Wars websites regularly for various information about the Clone Wars. It's the Clone Wars that got me onto StarWars.com, looking at those episode guides and those previews, and even watching the Clone Wars on StarWars.com back when they were doing that.
Remember, you used to be able to watch the last 2 weeks, the full episodes, commercial free on StarWars.com.
Disney Plus, Netflix, any kind of streaming service. That was you could watch them online.
Yeah, for the first 2 seasons, I think you could just, the week they went up and then they stayed there for an extra week.
And then they would put whole arcs for special occasions, whatever. Like, hey, the Mandalore arcs on StarWars.com. You can watch it now. Like, that was a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I forgot they did that.
There's no question about, why is it that, obviously, I think the Clone Wars is very much related to why you made the page, Ben. But but for me too, if it weren't for the Clone Wars, I wouldn't have found the page 10 days after it was it 4 days? 4 days after it was made, or whatever the heck it was. I think it was like the 14th when I saw you trying to promote it on Facebook, because I was there, the couple months before then, making Facebook pages too, but for Clone Wars fans. Like, that's what I was doing, because I was like, where do we talk about the Clone Wars? Let's try to see what this Facebook groups and Facebook page, fan page thing, fan your page, like whatever.
Become a fan.
Become a fan of this page. Yeah, it's like that's what I was doing back in 2010, 12 years ago. And then, obviously it wouldn't have taken long if Ben was trying to promote his page on Facebook for it to come across me, because I was following I was a fan of all of the Clone Wars pages, and it either was a fan of them or I had made them myself, or I was in all of the groups about that. So I was seeing everything that was coming in. And it's just really hard for me to think about now in perspective, how now in 2020, what year is it? 2022. It's that there's now so many millions of Star Wars fans on social media, and there's so many, tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of different accounts and groups related to Star Wars, that it's impossible for one person. One person could never know everything that's going on and see every conversation about Star Wars online that's going on. So it's really difficult for me to fathom that there once was a time when the internet was a little bit younger and social media was definitely younger, where you could pretty much keep a tab on the pulse of what was going on with Star Wars online. Like, if somebody said something about it, if you were in all the big forums, and if you were on StarWars.com reading through the comment sections, and if you were in the several Facebook groups and fanned the several pages and followed the several Twitter accounts that existed, you literally could see every word said about Star Wars online at that time, which is amazing.
Online fandom felt so tiny back then. It felt like there was 5 Star Wars pages, grand total of 5 Star Wars pages on Facebook, and maybe 8 groups. That was it. And you could be in all of them and participating in the conversation. It was
several hundred people. There was literally several hundred people on social media, and maybe there's definitely thousands on the forums, because that's that's where people used to communicate, was the forums.
And at that point, Clone Wars was a very niche topic still. It wasn't this beloved thing we know it to be now. It was this very like, if you met a Clone Wars fan, you met somebody that watched the Clone Wars, was like into that was a big deal, because not everyone liked that show. In fact, it seemed like most people hated it.
I mean, I went to a pretty small school where there was only a few hundred people that went to it, so I think maybe my experience is a little bit not what some people's might have been, but I do know I was the only one who watched that show at the whole school.
Yeah. Well, I went to a pretty big school, like a pretty big high school. And as far as I could tell, there were about 5 of us, that watched that show. And I remember one of my favorite Clone Wars memories. This has nothing to do with anything to do with the 12th anniversary of the Star Wars Underworld. But my favorite Clone Wars memories is me and my buddies Jordan and Phil getting together to watch the Night Sisters arc, or the premiere of the Night Sisters arc on a Friday night after school, and just having a grand old time watching that episode. It was a small community, and maybe people might have heard of Ahsoka, but they all hated her because she was ruining Star Wars.
And that Filoni guy, he's destroying canon and the EU.
The travesty, the Karen travesty.
And Joel's saying this right now. $2 super chat. Thank you so much, Joel. He says classic EU fans hated Clone Wars. Still do. Yeah, it sometimes. I
don't know if we should out him by name, but one of our regular contributors here at the Star Wars Underworld, who's not one of us 3. We met him because he ran a hate blog for the Clone Wars. He somehow became one of our best friends.
Yeah, I
figure that one out.
I haven't told him yet how much I hated him. Like, he was like so just like hated the Clone Wars so much. I think he still does. I think, but like, I was like, oh god, no, I'm gonna bring it down. Yeah.
What a time! What a time! So that's
memories.
2010. That's April 2010. Let's go April 2011. The top story on April 10th, 2011. Shockingly, this is kind of relevant again because it is Lego Star Wars 3, The Clone Wars. A new preview was released.
Nice.
And it was, if you're watching live, you can see it. And it was actually stop motion.
I was about to say, this is stop. This is like animation.
This looks like fan made.
Yeah. This is stop motion, but this was official. It had the rated E for everyone at the beginning and everything. But this was weird because this is again sort of a product of its time, because this like little mini trailer was released after the game came out. The game itself was released in March. At the end of March, and this little mini preview was coming out almost 3 weeks later. Just pretty wild. The other big thing that was going on around that time was people getting ready for the release or for the opening of Star Tours 2. Star Tours 2, that was the big thing that was happening.
Continues.
Yeah, and Anthony Daniels was being interviewed by the LA Times about it. That would have been probably our second top story, if not our top story that week. And he's out here, he's talking about 3PO being the pilot, and he's giving little teasers about what's going on with the ride. And he's telling everybody, make sure you watch the screens before you actually get on the ride. And check it all out. So
I do remember that one, and I remember being mad that I couldn't get on the ride before they changed it because I never got to see the original version of it.
I got to ride it once, right before they changed it, or it may have been a little while, but like by the time I got back,
and I remember it was
the original Star Tours.
Wasn't it at like a Star Wars Celebration or something where they did the last ride?
Yeah. So that was Celebration 5. That was my first celebration. I wanted to go to that event. But I made my whole family go to that celebration. That was the only way I could go. And we as a family had been to Disney World 2 years earlier. And so I said to my parents, because I was 15, 16 at the time, I'm like, oh, we should go to this. And they're like, but we've already been to Disney World. Why do we need to go again? And I was like, no, but it's an event. And they're like, no, we've already done that. So I didn't get to go to that event, but that was the last tour to Endor.
Yeah.
I rode the original Star Tours like 2 years previous during that trip that prevented me from going to the last tour to Endor. All right, let's go. 2012 top story of 2012 on April 10th. The Star Wars Weekends guests have been announced. These are every weekend they had a little mini convention down there at Disney World in Florida, a little mini Star Wars celebration, and the event was hosted by James Arnold Taylor and Ashley Eckstein, and there was a whole big long guest list that included, among other people, Ray Park, D. Bradley Baker, Tom Kane, Jake Lloyd, Daniel Logan, and Nika Futterman. Oh, it would have been a good time. Would have been a good time going down to those events. The other thing that was huge that week, exactly 7 days prior, a classic, legendary, beloved moment in Star Wars fandom took place with the release of Kinect Star Wars for the Xbox 360.
Yes.
Classic.
I believe the podcast did exist at that time and featured lively debates over whether or not the dancing mode was ruining Star Wars.
Look, Star Wars fandom has had some really dumb moments over the years. I think the reaction to Kinect Star Wars may have been one of the dumbest ever.
Yeah,
like I'm just still disappointed I didn't get to play it because it looked amazing to me.
It was genuinely fun. Like I said at the time, and stand by this, that like you should have been able to just take a step back and enjoy the silliness of it. If you can't embrace the fun of that, like, what are we even doing here? Like, I know we like to talk very seriously about this stuff and act like it's, the most important thing, but it's just a little bit of fun. There's no reason Han Solo can't be dancing in the Bespin carbon freezing chamber.
You have to go back to that. You have to go back to those conversations. I don't know how you find them. I mean, there's old YouTube videos or whatever, people screaming at their cameras like they do today. But like, go back to those conversations. Anyone's like the online now, they're like, oh yeah, well, fandom was everyone was united together and everyone loved George Lucas prior to the sequel trilogy.
No.
Go back to those conversations of people just showing that image of Han Solo dancing. Oh my God, look at this! Look at how much Star Wars sucks. How George Lucas doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
stuff. Just milking it. All those.
Well,
stuff.
there were people again. Not gonna call people out, but there were people then who said that Star Wars needed to die. Literally,
Yeah.
I remember reading the article that came out where someone wrote, Star Wars needs to go away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we need to just celebrate what came out in the 70s, 80s, and 90s and early 2000s, and it needs to stop, and that needs to be it for Star Wars. I remember that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And someone probably in that sphere probably just, well, George Lucas just needs to sell it to somebody else. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Funny.
They got what they wanted.
Yeah, funny you should mention that. Well, yeah, so we fast forward to 2013. We go from 2012 to 2013. A lot happened in between there. A lot happened in between there. We got the Disney sale. We got the announcement of 7, 8, 9. The Clone Wars was canceled. Detours was canceled before an episode was ever aired. Joel with the super chat saying 2008 to 2012 did feel like kind of a winding down period. I agree. I got the same vibe from it. It felt like things were kind of cooling down, and maybe it was because we were going to put the whole thing to bed. Little did we know they were cooling down so they could ramp back up again in a big way in 2012 with that announcement. But on April 10th, 2013, the big news, following all of that stuff of the announcement of episode 7, all of the cancellation of the Clone Wars, the Disney sale, the big news, the top story on April 10th, 2013. The Yoda Chronicles release date announced.
Oh, wow.
Not what you're expecting. The first of the 3 Yoda Chronicles TV specials was announced to be airing on May 29th, 2013 at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So that would have been the top story. Also what we would have been talking about that week on the show would have been the fact that Dave Filoni said he was working on a new animated series. Because remember, Clone Wars had been canceled. Rebels had not been announced. There was this moment where it seemed like we might not get more Star Wars from Dave Filoni. He might just go off and do other things. And I wonder if there was a moment where Dave considered doing that. Of course, he stuck around and did Rebels, got Resistance off the ground, did another season of Clone Wars, moved to live action, and is somehow like second in command when it comes to live action Star Wars television. So, things worked out pretty well for him. But he did a podcast interview that week where he said, at this point, he says at this point, I'm involved in some early production discussions and explorations of what we will be doing with Star Wars animation in the future, which is really exciting for me. And I have some friendly faces around me, of course, and that are helping me on the project. So it's transition time. As I've said before, I think it will lead to an exciting time, and hopefully things will grow again. So that's what Dave Filoni was saying in 2013.
He was probably sketching a TIE fighter at that point.
Yeah. Getting things ready. So that was 2013. 2014. So to give a little context, filming on The Force Awakens began in April 2014. The cast was announced at the end of the month, and filming began around that same time. So naturally, the top story on April 10th, 2014 was concept art from canceled Darth Maul video game released.
What?
Whoa. And I pulled this from the article I wrote on StarWarsUnderworld.com about it. It says the one non-Episode 7 related Star Wars news stories that has dominated the headlines for the last few days is back. Earlier this week, Game Informer magazine revealed that the studio Red Fly had been working on a video game that would have been the origin story of Darth Maul. The game was ultimately canceled in 2011. Now Game Informer has released some concept art from the canceled game. So again, for everybody who's looking on the live stream, we got some of that concept art there.
No.
Would have had Darth Talon, would have pulled in the Death Watch. Savage Opress is in there.
Mando's down there.
Yeah, would have had a Death Watch lieutenant. This is pre-Bo-Katan. Got some more Darth Maul concept art there, looking pretty badass. So a little look at what might have been. But the other thing, of course, we would have been talking about is an interview that Disney chairman Alan Horn gave. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. I don't know if I have this video. I thought I had this video, but I don't know if I have it. But Alan Horn gave an interview where he talked about the fact that they were almost done casting Episode 7 and that they'd actually begun shooting some stuff for it. I think we would later find out that was like second unit stuff out there in Abu Dhabi. And, also just to give you a sense of how busy things were and how crazy things were and what the vibe was. Other things that were going on that week was we had a rumor that Peter Mayhew was coming back for Episode 7, which turned out to be true. We had a rumor that Maisie Richardson Sellers was going to be the front runner in Episode 7, or was the front runner for an Episode 7 role, for like a big role in the movie. Sort of wound up being kind of true, because she did wind up being in the movie, but she's in a blink and you miss it role. Most of her stuff wound up on the cutting room floor. And Tatooine, and then this was the other rumor of that week, Tatooine would be recreated in Morocco for Episode 7. I think none of that sentence wound up being correct. I don't think they filmed anything in Morocco, and we now know it wasn't Tatooine. It was Jakku.
2014 is when we started with all those crazy rumors about Episode 7.
Yeah,
all those location rumors. Yeah, they were.
It's funny. So there were so many Episode 7 rumors that were true, but there were also so many that weren't true. It's like it's bonkers going back and looking at them.
I remember being in the Force Awakens panel, and maybe we had heard Abu Dhabi at that point. I'm sure we did.
I think we'd seen some set pics at that point,
I
like just
remember
leaked ones.
J.J. Abrams uttering the word Jakku, and I was like, What did he say?
Yeah.
No, it's Tatooine, right? What's he doing to us?
He even said, he was like, oh, by the way, people think it's Tatooine. It's not. It's this other place. Joel says in the chat, hot take, I don't like the concept art for the mall game. It's too mid-2000s edgelordy for me, and I'm glad we've moved away from it. Yeah, okay. I see where you're coming from.
Though. I mean, 2000 edgelord is my aesthetic, so come on.
Yeah, I see where he's coming from, but
the fact that George Lucas almost gave like a section of game developers heart attacks trying to make this game makes it all the more interesting, and I want to know like what they were doing.
Yeah, I think it would have been interesting. So, just a quick aside. We've been talking about what we were talking about in 2014. What about one of our friends and Star Wars or Culture Slate podcast network co-conspirators? What were they up to? Well, Hannah Rayside says in the chat, at age 14, 2014, I made hate images of Bob Iger because I was mad he bought Star Wars from Lucas. Now I've changed that opinion. LOL.
Wow.
My goodness,
I did not expect that. That's some dark stuff from young Hannah. Oh my goodness!
Wow. And that goes to show, what has happened to all the people who had that reaction, because not all of them kept that opinion.
Yeah,
some of them are the biggest fans of the sequels now, even if their initial opinion to Disney taking over wasn't great.
I can tell you right now, my opinion in like 2013, 2014 was like, I don't want these new Star Wars movies. I want season 7, 8, and 9 of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
It's true. All right, going from 2014 to 2015. So this is just before the first celebration, Anaheim. Just before. And actually, the top story on April 10th, 2015 is something that Star Wars Underworld was actually kind of involved in. It was a co-report between Star Wars Underworld and that hashtag show, releasing an artist depiction of a moment from The Force Awakens, and it's this moment here of Hux and Phasma looking up what's going on with Finn. Finn's while he's on the run.
Pretty good artist rendition, I have to say.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. And what would have been the second story of the week is another Star Wars Underworld, that hashtag show collaboration for another artist depiction of a moment from The Force Awakens. And it's this one. It's Han, Rey, and Finn in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon arriving on, whatchamacallit, that place where Maz Kanata's castle. Takodana. Yeah, although we didn't know it at the time. That's where they were going. Oh, look at that. And to go along with that report, that hashtag show also released a report of what would be in the celebration trailer, which I've got here, which is kind of interesting, what's right and what's wrong about it. So here's the rumored trailer breakdown. The opening sequence begins on a desert landscape. A dusty Star Destroyer crashed into the sand. It looks like it's been there for many years. Tick. That's correct. Mm-hmm. Following a cut, characters Rey and Finn and our favorite rolling robot BB-8 are making their way through a crowd in the flea market of a very Tatooine-ish scenario. I mean, no Jakku, but tick. That's pretty close. Next, we have Rey looking up through the trees in a Yavin-like scenario as TIE fighters fly overhead. Again, tick, although it wasn't Yavin. I love this about Star Wars reports, is we always have to compare it to another Star Wars thing, even though it's probably a new thing, especially with The Force Awakens. The next scene we're told about, we are X-Wing pilots running to their ships in their old school X-Wing gear. Orange. Yeah, orange. Tick. Now it starts to get interesting. Towards the end of the trailer, from behind, we will see Han Solo, vest and all, complete traditional garb, the way we remember him, and he sits down and reacquaints himself with the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon.
That's not even
close.
It's
the
cockpit and kind of looks around lovingly, but
I think
sitting down.
So I think that's probably some stuff that was thought about. because it sounds like it might have been shot for that same moment you're talking about, Ben, but didn't wind up being in the trailer. But then there's this. As if this wasn't good enough, brace yourself, because the last scene has not been described by any other website yet. As of yet, as far as we know, this is an exclusive. The last scene shows a gloved hand pulling something out of a pile of ash. Here it comes into the clear. It begins to take form. Vader's helmet. What's left of it? Here's the interesting part. Remains of a skull still reside inside the helmet.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Well, the Vader helmet is in the trailer, so I suppose you could kind of give a half a mark for that. But oof.
They changed a lot.
Yeah, they changed a lot.
Scene. Come
but
on.
They changed a lot, but they kept a fair bit in there too. So kind of give it a C grade in terms of accuracy. Get a lot of things right, but some of the big moments kind of wrong. So that's 2015. 2016, our first show, our first anniversary post Force Awakens. What's going on? What's the top story? Well, it's Mark Hamill's Twitter account, because he tweeted this glorious picture from the set of The Last Jedi. It's Daisy Ridley carrying him around on his back in the back lot at Pinewood Studios. By the way, April 10th, not just the Star Wars Underworld's anniversary, also Daisy Ridley's birthday. Happy birthday, Daisy. And there it is, Mark Hamill, recreating a classic Luke and Yoda kind of moment, just with Rey filling in for Yoda and Luke being 30 some odd years older. Still one of my favorite behind the scenes images of all time.
Amazing.
Back when people actually could take photos from the set and post them on social media.
Well, they're in the parking lot. There's nothing in this that's spoilery. We knew Mark was in the movie and we knew Daisy was in the movie. So yeah, there's nothing spoilery. Why they should do this more often. Jon Favreau.
More parking lot pictures, please.
More parking lot pictures. Yes, exactly. Exactly. But the thing that would have dominated the news that week, though, in April 2016, was the first Rogue One teaser trailer. The one that's where most of it's not in the movie. I Rebel and all that didn't make the movie. Again, we'll go ahead another year, April 2017. The top story: Mark Hamill and Daisy Ridley to appear on Good Morning America with quote unquote big announcement.
Oh, I remember that.
And
was there a big announcement? I'm curious.
The big announcement was a new Force for Change campaign where you could make a donation to Force for Change. I think they were raising money for UNICEF at the time. And you'd be entered into a draw to win one of three prizes, one being a trip to Skywalker Ranch, one being a visit to the set of Solo, a Star Wars Story, and one being a trip to the premiere of Episode 8.
That is a big announcement.
It's a big announcement. Big announcement. The other thing we would have been talking about that week, a little bit sadder, but kind of still a little hopeful. Carrie Fisher's brother says Leia will be in Episode 9, because of course one of the things that happened at the end of 2016 was the fact that we lost Carrie Fisher, and Todd Fisher was interviewed at an event, and he said that Lucasfilm came to him and Billy Lord and asked if they could include Leia and her likeness in the final episode. And he said, quote, both of us were like, yes, how do you take her out of it? And the answer is you don't. She is as much a part of it as anything. And I think her presence is even more powerful than it was. Like Obi-Wan, when the saber cuts him down and he becomes more powerful. I feel like that's what's happened with Carrie. I think her legacy should continue. And as we know, it did.
Yeah.
Leia was still in Episode 9 using unshot or cut footage from The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi.
I guess they knew what they were going to do at that point. It's interesting.
Yeah. Well, at the very least, they were talking about what they were going to do, whether or not it was actually in there. Well, whether or not they had the actual plan at that point, I suspect they didn't, because I don't think Colin Trevorrow had yet been fired at that point in time. April 2018, we're getting a little closer to getting a little more caught up. Big story, top story on the day of. That picture right there. Han and Chewie on the set of Solo, a Star Wars Story, walking along what we now know to be Severine. Nice
and at
little
least
picture.
one person, if not 1,000 people, went, "It's Tatooine!"
Yep. So that was the big thing. Also, that week was actually the trailer for Solo, a Star Wars story. That one came out, the one that features Han saying, "I have a really good feeling about this." That came out on April 8th. And also in the news that week was some leaked footage of what would become Smuggler's Run at Galaxy's Edge. Made its way online. And we've got it playing here on the screen if you're watching along. And for those of you that have ridden the ride, you can see where a lot of this sort of winds up being kind of part of the ride. Mm-hmm. There's the train, but then there's a lot of stuff that isn't in the ride, like this domino set of AT-ATs.
This has more Star Tours vibes to it.
Yeah. And so I wonder if maybe some of that footage, I still think there should be more levels for Smuggler's Run.
I'm shocked that they haven't done an update to that after this many years. I'm absolutely shocked.
Well, and again, just looking at this footage, like there was stuff that they worked on that was very different from, or that is at least somewhat different from what wound up being in the actual ride.
We haven't even gotten up because, like, for a while there, they were updating Star Tours. We haven't even gotten a new update about that either.
Yeah, last Star Tours update, I believe, was for episode 9.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of episode 9, another super chat from Joel says Carrie's passing was both tragic and also I also think the catalyst for why episode 9 had so many production and story development problems. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say. I think they said they planned for Leia to have a significant role in episode 9. And if you read the Duel of the Fates script that's out there, that's true. And, they had to work around what they could actually accomplish with Leia. And, they did their best, but
for all the talk of, not having a plan or whatever else, it seemed to, at least in the case of Carrie Fisher and Leia's character, they really did have at least a bare bones of a plan of what they wanted to do. And, losing Carrie was, I'm sure, a huge wrench thrown in those gears.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. 2019. April 10th was actually the first day of Star Wars Celebration. So there was no news. That was the news, was day one of Celebration. And you can go back and listen to the first of our daily podcasts from Celebration 2019 to hear what we were talking about that day, which was mainly show floor looks good. Happy with it. Having fun. But also the other thing that was going on that time was J.J. Abrams was talking about coming back to Star Wars for episode 9, because that was another sort of big thing that happened in the interim there. It was J.J. was brought back to round out the trilogy, and he told Fast Company, I wasn't supposed to be there. I wasn't the guy, I was working on some other things, and I had something else that I was assuming would be the next project if we'd be so lucky. And then Kathy Kennedy called and said, would you really seriously consider coming aboard? And once that started, it all happened pretty quickly. The whole thing was a crazy leap of faith. And it's up to you to decide whether or not he succeeded on that. I like JJ. I still got a lot of time and a lot of respect for JJ.
Oh yeah, same.
Yeah,
even if episode 9's not my favorite thing. 2020. We're almost to the end of this ridiculous exercise. 2020. We're in the early months of COVID at this point. Everything's locked down. So there were two big Star Wars things that happened on April 10th. One being the release of the Clone Wars episode Dangerous Debt on Disney Plus, where I think that's the conclusion, or I don't know if it's the conclusion. It was one of the Trace and Rafa episodes. Fun episode. But, this was also at the time when, there were a lot of like celebrity projects encouraging people to stay home. And I think this was just before the whole Imagine thing happened. Yeah. Star Wars kind of got in on this, and they had some of the cast members read some storybooks, some kids' books. And Daisy Ridley got in on the fun, and she read a little bit of BB-8 on the run, or she read the whole book, and they posted it on YouTube, and you can still watch the whole thing. But here's a little taste of that.
My name is Daisy Ridley, and this is story time. I have chosen to read BB-8 on the Run, written by Drew Daywalt and illustrated by Matt Myers. Please sit back and relax for probably 10 minutes it'll take to read this. BB-8 wasn't used to being on his own, and it was scary, very scary. His friend Poe had told him to run. Get as far away from here as you can, the pilot had said. I'll come back for you. But BB-8 had seen the explosion back in Twarnell village, and he feared Poe was gone. Now it was all up to him to get the top secret map to the Resistance so they could find Luke Skywalker. All up to him. That was scary too.
We need to get Daisy reading some Star Wars audiobooks.
I'm telling you, that would be amazing.
Yeah. That would be fun. Next time a Rey novel comes out, or if they ever write a Rey novel, because I don't think one's come out yet.
That would be great.
Get her to read it. And then that brings us to last year, 2021. There wasn't a big story on April 10th, but on April 8th, we had one of the breaking news stories of all time. Ewan McGregor has a beard. There he is at a motorcycle shop in California, and it was a big deal because he had his beard. I think they were just about to start filming Obi-Wan Kenobi, and we looked at that picture and we said, "Yeah, he looks like Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's bleeping Obi-Wan Kenobi right there." But the day after, the day after our 11th anniversary, there was a story that broke, and I feel like we have to touch on that real quick because it brings us full circle. And that is a rumor report from the Vulcan Reporter. No, it's not a Star Trek story. Star Wars Daytona's animated series finally set to release on Disney Plus after 9-year purgatory.
Oh, that's not fair. That's another tease. I forgot about that.
Of course, that rumor turned out to be bunk. But yeah, look at that. 12 years later, all across the 12 years, we're still talking about when the hell is Star Wars Detours going to be released.
It's never going to go away. We're going to be, it's been 20 years since Star Wars Detours was supposed to be released.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it will be out. Yeah. For the 20th anniversary, we'll still be talking about Detours. Maybe it'll come out. Maybe for our 20th anniversary, we could convince them to give us an episode and we could watch it and review it.
What if we get to the end of that panel? We get to the end of that dang panel, the first panel of Star Wars Celebration, and then Kathleen Kennedy gets up on stage like, oh yes, the moment you've all been waiting for. You're going to see the first episode of Star Wars Detours. No, not Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I would lose my mind. I don't know about the rest of you. I'd be very excited. Very, very excited.
That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, from the chat, Joel says, apparently Daisy Ridley and Pedro Pascal did a movie together and Daisy has an American accent. It's true. She has a brief role in The Bubble, which Pedro is one of the stars of, which is it's an okay movie. Like it's got a couple of funny moments.
I saw the scene in question, and hearing her with American accent is weird.
Yeah, but that she has her scene is perhaps one of the standout scenes in the movie. And she's very funny, and boy, I never thought I'd see Rey and the Mandalorian doing that. Never thought I'd see that.
Seriously, that was unexpected.
Yeah. Chris, where'd you go? People are wondering. They want to see your hat.
Oh, I'm here. I'm about to. I have to go to a concert, so I was going to just smoothly get outroed, but we were in the middle of stuff, so I'm just going to switch to my phone.
All right. Well, if you got that's it. That's everything that we've got. So if you got to go, Ben and I can close the show out. We can.
Well, yeah. No, I just wanted to say that, 12 years has been super amazing, and like, I've said it before on other anniversary shows for the podcast and for stuff, but obviously, like, being part of the Star Wars Underworld is like one of the cornerstone things in my life, one of the most important things to me, and has opened me up to probably the most amount of experiences, more than anything else. So yeah, I'm super grateful to you guys, and I'm super grateful to all of our listeners and audience for being a part of that. It's absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'll echo that. This has been, just the best. The best 12 years covering every ridiculous Star Wars story that we just went through and so much more. That's been a lot of fun, but the real fun has been the people, whether it's been the two of you or any of the other people we've collaborated with, and especially the people that have listened, whether you're still listening after I guess 10, 11 years in there, or you just started last week. And we look forward to seeing as many of you at Celebration as possible, because that's always a good time. That's always the moment where all of this, which can feel very separate and very isolated at times, that's the moment where it feels real. And coming out of all of this, where we haven't had a celebration for 3 years, I think it's going to feel especially fulfilling for everybody who's there, and for everybody who can't come. Well, hopefully we'll see you at the next one or some other event. I've for years I've been saying we need to take the show on the road, and we need to do the Star Wars Underworld World Tour, and
thank you,
so that we can go everywhere and check in with everybody
in person.
Yeah. Check in with everybody who's ever listened to the show. It'll be a good time. But yeah, just the best time. Just the best time. A decade plus 2.
So good.
Ben, as the founder, I think you have to give the final thoughts on 12 years.
Yeah, I've got 12 years worth of thoughts. It's hard to put it into words. I will just say thank you, everyone. Whether you somehow, I'm assuming some of you may have been around since day one. I know at least a few of you. You may not be watching tonight or listening, but it's been a wild ride, and we've got it's hard to. 12 years is kind of like, it's hard to fathom. It was like, 5th anniversary, 6th anniversary, 12th anniversary. Well, how did this happen? It sneaks up on you.
Who really let this happen?
Yeah, exactly. So
somebody should have stopped us by now.
But the fact that we're still doing this after all these years, and there's people watching this now, not just listening, it just blows my mind. So as always, thank you so much, guys, for supporting us, watching, listening, commenting, all the stuff that you guys do. You are amazing. You make this happen.
Absolutely. And with that, we can begin to wrap things up for this week and for the 12 years of the Star Wars Underworld. Man. All right, I think I better take the lead on the outro here, because Chris, you gotta run.
You can outro me like I outro you, though.
All right, sounds good. Well, thank you everybody for listening. We will be back same time, same place next week to talk about probably like 3 more celebration panels that have been announced, and who knows what else will be going down. But make sure you tune in live Thursday nights, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. 2:30 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time in the UK. So that's actually on Friday if you're there. And I don't know. I don't know what the other time zones are. Mountain Time, it's probably like 8 o'clock. I don't know. Just tune in whenever it makes sense for you. And if you missed the episode, of course, you can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or you can watch the video version back on YouTube. And again, make sure you subscribe to all of those places. Yes, all of them. I'm not asking you to subscribe one place. I'm asking you to subscribe at least 4 places, so that you never, ever miss an episode. Who should I outro first? Obviously, I'm going to outro Chris first because he's got to go. So, Chris, thank you so much for doing this and for sticking around to the bitter end.
I know I couldn't leave. I was like, I need to hear what happened in 2021. I can't go. So yeah, it's been a blast, and I can't wait to play more Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga and experience and share that with everybody. So once again, please follow the Culture Slate twitch.tv/Culture Slate.
I'm trying to find if there was a banner for that, but I don't see it.
There is not.
There is not. Okay.
It's my face.
It's your face. Gotcha. Gotcha.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Chris. Ben, thank you as always for hosting. Plug something. I don't know. How do you do at the end of the show?
I just say some words that randomly pop into my head, normally speaking. There's another thing. First of all, again, thank you so much, guys, for watching and listening. And this is weird. And thank you for 12 years. Again, this has been great. And there's one thing what are you doing?
I'm playing with the video pictures for everybody who's listening after the fact.
To make it entertaining. All I will say is we are negative 2 days on Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which was released 2 days ago. 50 days away from the premiere of Obi-Wan Kenobi. 49 days away from the first day of Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, and 624 days away from the potential release date of Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
All right. Lots to look forward to. I like the negative numbers there. It's good. Yeah. It'll be like 2 years from now. We're negative 783 days.
The Skywalker Saga was released 400 days ago.
Yeah, exactly. Well, make sure you follow Ben on social media at Ben Hart with no E. Follow Chris at Seek3PO. You follow me at Dominic J25. You follow at the SWU. And maybe you want to be following at Percy the Puffer Pig as well. Because I heard a rumor that he's firing up his account again, and he wants to post some more stuff. So, yeah, maybe you want to drop old Percy a follow at Percy the Puffer Pig. And what else have we got? What else do we usually say at the end of the show? If you've enjoyed the show and you want to support us financially, you can do so by going to patreon.com/theswu. You get access to the pre-show where you can see things like Chris playing Lego Star Wars for the very first time this week. Again, patreon.com/theswu. You can get all sorts of fun stuff for as little as $1 a month. And you can buy merch over at cultureslate.com/store. Send in your listener feedback to swunderworld@gmail.com. We've got a couple already in the bank, but send in some more and we'll read them on a future episode. Again, swunderworld@gmail.com. They can be about whatever is on your mind in Star Wars. Is that it, Ben? Have I got it all? I haven't done an outro since the last episode of Pod Force 99, so I'm really out of shape with this.
I'll be honest, I have no clue. But it sounded good to me. So
sounded good. All right, we're going with it. So thank you, everybody. We'll be back same time, same place. But for now, for Chris, for Ben, for all the other wonderful people at the Star Wars Underworld, my name is Dominic, and may the Force be with you. It's a wrap.